Hi, live from Los Angeles. Welcome back to Diamond's House of Gems. I am your host, Diamond Tucker, and we're back again for episode 2 with this amazing gem called Ferro.
Yay.
Welcome.
Thank you, Diamond. Thanks for having me back on.
Thank you for coming back on.
Yes,
I appreciate
yes.
it.
You got me again, and you inspired me, and you got me the courage to do it.
Oh my
So
God, stop.
thank you.
You inspire me.
Oh, thanks.
Like literally, that's why I'm here. This is a great set. This is a great background, great energy. I feel like we've definitely been learning a lot this week. You've been showing, well, I've been learning a lot this week. You've taught me and taken me to so many different places, and I think it'd be great to talk about all of those different places today.
Yeah. I think I'm. I said I was nervous about the last one, but I think I'm even more nervous about this one because what we're going to be getting into today is very important to me. Mm-hmm. It's very important to the world, and there is a lot of information out there, obviously, on the internet, and a lot of opinions, a lot of voices, a lot of noise, and I don't want to be misrepresenting anything or giving improper guidance or being a voice of any form of deception, whether intentional or unintentional. So I have to be in some way myself and casual, but at the same time I do have to be careful with how I word certain things, because we are going to be going into very spiritual subjects.
Yes.
And
yes,
one of the most important things for me is being a researcher of truth. Mm-hmm. And so let's try it out. Let's see how it goes.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. We're definitely going to be talking about so much of our spiritual beliefs today, which I think is so exciting because I think we're both just very spiritual people by nature. And it's the same here. It could be definitely very sensitive. I know that, we're not here to convince anybody of anything. We're just here to articulate things for the people that already vibrate and resonate with this. I think a lot of people already feel what we're going to say or know or have an idea of these concepts, and I think that we're just here to articulate it for the people that already resonate with it or we're already seeking it.
Yeah,
So,
and maybe even plant a seed.
Plant the seed.
Yeah, because I think what we can do, what we're doing today, I wanted us to be able to dive into spirituality. But This is going to be a general conversation. We're going to go all over the world here today. But after that, though, there is an importance, I think, in our current culture to dive into things. Mm-hmm. I think that what we are presented, especially on the internet, is a very surface level understanding of everything. So we think we know a lot, but really we're just kind of skimming the surface of things. So we will be providing a lot today, but then maybe down the road in a couple weeks, months, we can get together again, and then depending on people's feedback or what's resonating with people, if we want to dive in deeper into a specific subject or concept, I think that's a really important idea to do because we want to be able to get deep with this stuff. Of course, yes. But planting a seed, though, at least maybe it'll pique somebody's curiosity.
There you go.
Maybe I can say something that can resonate somewhere, and then, okay, interesting. Let me do my own independent research. Don't take anything I say as truth.
I mean, you did that for me this week.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different seeds planted and a lot of just new understandings that I got this week, new perspectives, new awarenesses. Mm-hmm. So that's been, I think, the best part, from Ramadas to so many. But I think the great place to start, like you were saying, is where we both actually started our search. And actually, I just realized that I did not put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm going to do that right now because knowing me and how my phone is, someone is going to call or text as I'm working. Oh, I did, actually.
And we're not going to cut any of that.
And we're not going to cut any of it.
We ain't cutting.
All right. So my phone is on Do Not Disturb. Mm-hmm. So a great place to start is, at what point in our lives do we actually start searching for like spiritual knowledge?
That is a great place to start.
I think for me, I would say like end of middle slash high school. Once I got access to YouTube, um, Infinite Waters Diving Deep. I was just watching all of the videos because, I come from, a very Christian, Liberian, African bubble, and where my mom was a pastor. And so Christianity is all that anybody in that world knows, really.
Mm-hmm.
And when you grow up, you're not taught that you're really allowed to question it to certain extents.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always the kid that was questioning everything. Like, I remember talking to the pastors about heaven, hell, angels, demons. I wanted to know everything. I just found it so, I was so fascinated and obsessed with just like the afterlife and angels and celestial beings and just like the heaven concept. So I always asked a bunch of questions that they didn't really like talking about or didn't want to answer.
Yeah, I guess that would probably be my first question is, what was the response when you were an inquisitive kid asking questions?
If it was in the realm of something they can answer from the Bible, it was fine. If it started to rear off into like, but why did God put the tree there in the first place? Like, how did Eve sin if she didn't know good from bad? Once it started to get into those places, they were like, oh, like you can't question, you can't question God. You just have to trust God has a plan and it's exactly how it's supposed to be. And so once I got access to YouTube between middle and high school and I got my first like touch screen phone and the apps and stuff, I was like, oh, there is more. And so slowly I began to like, it started to open my view of spirituality and in a secret way that I didn't tell anybody about. So it's like we're still living in this house with, under Christianity, but like secretly I was already like learning about spirituality.
Yeah.
So where did it come in for you?
Wow. What I took away from that is a thought on the power of the internet. The fact that, if this was 100, 200 years ago and you had a desire to understand spiritual concepts, you were really karmically constrained to wherever you were born. So if you're born in Europe, well, then you're curious about it, then go to the church. If you're more curious about it, then join the priesthood. If you're born in India, okay, well, you're going to be in some form of Hindu environment where you're going to have, Shiva, Vishnu, Krishna, whoever is going to be your deities. It's dependent upon where you're born. Tibet, okay, there's your Buddhism. That all kind of changed, and we'll get into the stuff in a little bit because I want to go back to myself here because we'll talk about the history of how spirituality was able to spread around the world around the 1870s. But it goes in. But going back to the point about the phone and the internet, we can look at the phone and the internet as this device of, with trepidation and say, oh, this thing is causing a great amount of suffering in the world. There's evil. This is an evil technology. Or you can look on the other side in a balanced way and say it's also provided a level of insight to people that have never had the opportunity and never would have had the opportunity.
Yeah.
So is fire good or evil?
No.
It's how you use it.
Yeah.
I could use fire to warm my house, to cook my food, to provide comfort to us on a cold day, or I can use it to burn your house down and create a nuclear bomb and blow everything up and destroy everything. So it depends on how you use it, and then the internet is the same way. I mean, I think this veers into another topic that we can talk about another day. Of like, are we mature enough to handle the fire that we've been given? That's a tricky one. So we can talk about that another time. But going back, it is the internet in many ways that allowed me also to see other perspectives that I did not get with my upbringing.
When?
Well, so I think I mentioned this in the previous podcast, but I did move around a lot growing up.
You did.
So I did accumulate a lot of different points of view that way. So I think that subconsciously created a desire to continue to understand the world from multiple points of view. whether I wasn't a 10-year-old saying that out loud, like I wasn't like, oh, let me observe this, like from multiple aspects here. No, it's like, no, like I think it sunk down like a seed planted that grew into my later on desire. I was raised Catholic, and there is very similar. It's a traditional Christian dogma where there is a hierarchy in the physical world that you have to kind of like, you got a chain of command here. If you want to talk to God, you got to kind of have to like perform ritual sacraments. You have to talk to the priest. The priest is talking to the bishop and the deacon and cardinals, and all the way up to the Pope.
Yes.
And that's your access point to an understanding of Christ. That never sat right with me, because I think deep down, again, not something I would overtly have known when I was a child, but I think deep down there was a resonance in me that said that I don't need an authority figure to tell me how to connect with Source. I can do it myself.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so that was a thing that happened when I was young, but I did not have the resources. I mean, the internet was a young place when I'm 38 now, so like when I was young, we didn't really have that, and then I also did not have the tools to really research it, because I went, in high school, I went into athletics, and then from athletics into the military, so I went to a military college, 4 years of that, and I was just entrenched in that, and then afterwards into the military. So I didn't really give the spiritual stuff the time of day that I just wasn't ready for it yet. But it lingered in the background, and then when I went through hardships in life, mental struggles, depression, suicidal ideations, things that were causing me mental afflictions and suffering, I did not have the spiritual tools or understanding to get out of it. And so my Catholic upbringing led me towards a cynicism towards authoritative figures and institutions of religion. And then I rebelled against it, because like, you're telling me one thing but you're acting another way. And you're also telling me about this being of love and compassion, yet you are the most judgmental people on the planet. And you have this. Anyways, I'm not gonna, because I'm not here to bash it, because it was something that I needed to understand, and I needed to unfold, because once I rebelled against it and I didn't have anything else to fall back on, I started to admire certain like scientists. Look how smart that man is. He doesn't go into the wishy-washy spirituality. He is just logic and numbers. Mathematics. That seems to make a lot of sense. Things are just atoms smashing into each other, and to formulations that are just completely random. And then they build upon each other based off of mathematical principles, which are completely cold and unfeeling to our thoughts and desires. Which you can see how that leads us down a pathway towards... be nihilism, it could be cynicism, it could be hopelessness and despair when you see injustices happening in the world, and you see that the good is constantly being trampled on, and the truth is just being
covered.
And so when you don't have a sense of hope, or a sense that there is an underlying goodness and compassion and love in the universe that is working all things towards its end, that's a very scary place to be in.
It is.
So it led me to destruction, like mental anguish and destruction. But I do believe, ask and you shall receive. I was very fortunate to receive certain very personal, miraculous things that began to happen in my life.
Like what?
Well, they're very personal.
Oh,
okay. And by that I mean,
you don't want to tell the girls?
Well, I can explain it a little bit, but at the same time, I am sensitive to the fact that if I was in my old state and I didn't believe anything, and somebody told me this, I would not believe it, or I would be like, this person's crazy, or they're clearly going through a mental psychosis, or there's something diagnostic here, we can probably prescribe a medication for. Like there's something like that. And like if somebody were to tell me about that, like, gotta keep an open mind to these things.
Yeah.
So when I began to witness certain phenomenon,
Ooh.
I don't know if I'm fully ready to talk about it.
That's fine. Whatever you're comfortable
yeah
with.
yeah
But you experienced something.
Yeah, I experienced something, and it's as simple as, I'll give you one of the examples.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'll give you one of them. There was one time when I was really depressed, and it was in a room with two other people, and one was a girl I was dating at the time, and the other is a very wonderful old friend of mine, and in the middle of the conversation, I just was starting to break down. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be here. I don't want to listen to this conversation. I feel like crying. And this is after the military. This is when I was in LA. And if you listen to the last podcast, you'll hear when I was in this stage of my life a little bit. But then I'm like, excuse me, I have to leave the room right now. And so I sat down on the floor in my room, and I just crumbled, and I just started crying. And it's just I can't, there's something wrong with the brain and everything else. Well, my friend came in the room, and he placed his hand right above my head, about that much above my head, didn't touch me at all, and he just like that, and there was my ears popped, there was a pressure change, and I felt a lighting up of these energy centers in my body. And there was the voice in the back of my head, which I had heard at certain points of my life, very personal to me. It's that voice of your higher self that has this quality to it that is 100% sure, 100% loving, and just 100% there to guide you. And it comes in these little moments, and this little voice said, there's nothing you need to worry about, and there's nothing you need to be sad about. And in that moment, I was just crying my eyes out. Now I'm standing up, and I feel like a giddy schoolboy, and I'm dancing around the room, and I'm like, I'd be freaking out right now, but I can't, because these energies are moving throughout me. It's like, what did you do? I don't understand this. And he pushed whatever was in me out the window, literally out the window. And I look at him, his eyes are now bloodshot. And he's got his own tears. He's like, dude, you've been holding on to that for a long time. And I'm just like, what did you do? And so that was one of those early, you can call it a chakra opening, some kind of energy work that was not physical, that was deeply personal to me, that is not explainable. And then the funny thing about that is when you have certain experiences like that, and I've had several of these type of experiences happen since then, and now it's just an understanding. But back in the day, you don't understand it, so you're trying to figure it out. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm healed. I must be healed, right? Yeah. And it lasted for 30 minutes, 2 hours, and then I remember I'm walking down the street in Hollywood, which is a very dark place.
What a place!
And I just remember the first time I heard somebody going, cursing, and then all of a sudden I felt this, oh no, and it was oh no, I'm back. Oh no, I'm back to my default. It was a feeling of I'm back to my default. And what my friend told me, and his name is Adam, and what he told me is you gotta keep meditating. you gotta do this every day. Otherwise, you're just gonna lose it. You can't. And I'm sure that there's people out there that have had at least some form of experience like that, where oh my God, in this day I feel so good. Yes. I must be up right now. Yes. But then the next day it's darn it,
that's me.
Darn it. And so it's there's the frustration that comes in. It's well, I just had it and now I lost it. I'm talking about it in the past tense, but I had it. And I think that goes into you have to then seek out a spiritual practice that you can then utilize to maintain a state of
Yeah.
peace, comfort, equanimity,
Yeah.
to not be affected by all of the darkness in the world.
Of course.
Um,
And an amount of grace, I would say, too, for yourself, because I know when that happens to me, there's always this like, there's not just that I had it, there's the anger at myself for how did I get back here. And I think when there's that like grace that you give yourself for like, it's okay to acknowledge where you are, but then like you said, finding that practice that helps you come back up instead
Yeah.
of beating yourself up and then forcing yourself to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's okay.
Yeah, I think that it really helps, like for me, like having kids, because I see these pure, innocent spirits and souls that, like I beat myself up because I messed up. Oh my
Yes.
God! Oh, I just was so good. Now I'm a
Yes.
piece of crap again.
Yes.
But like, then you have to recognize, like, I wouldn't say this to a 4-year-old.
Okay, or my friends.
If my daughter was beating herself up, or it's like, I love you. You're okay. Like it's
Yeah.
okay. It is okay.
Yeah,
Treat yourself like that.
exactly.
Give yourself that amount of compassion, and you deserve it. And it's easy to, it may be easier for us to be kinder to other people when we're on a spiritual path, and then it's really easy just to be down on ourselves.
up.
So this leads into probably the first point of spirituality that we can learn is mindfulness.
Mindfulness, yes.
Mindfulness is the first step in, regardless of any tradition out there, regardless of any spiritual practice. It doesn't matter. The first step is mindfulness, being mindful, and you can call it whatever you want, but the simple fact that you, instead of being asleep throughout your day, just going with your impulses, with just kind of just going along with everything that you just normally do without thinking about anything that you're thinking about, just doing it, and then reacting to everything.
Yeah.
You're essentially a slave to the whims of the world.
Yeah.
But when you just create that little bit of space where somebody pinches you instead of ouch, oh,
Yeah.
it's the pinch, it's the observation. I'm feeling discomfort. This person did that. Why did that person do that? I'm not sitting here in the beginning of mindfulness. You're not trying to change it. You're just trying to be mindfulness. So like what I would notice is, oh, I'm miserable and depressed right now. I am mindful of the fact that right now I'm craving alcohol. I want to. Why do you want the alcohol?
That's real.
I am mindful of the fact that I want it to just shut my brain off so I can go to sleep,
Yes.
because I'm not happy right now. Just being mindful, creating that space to create that split second where I'm making a difference rather than just immediately going for a bottle.
Yeah.
Is a first step, and so this goes, this ties into a sobriety journey, where I am, happily 5 years sober.
I know,
and
congrats.
it's
That's
like
good.
there is no attachment in me, and I think this is one of the things I see with sobriety with some people, is there might be that feeling of like, let's say I meet you and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm 5 years sober, and you're like, oh my God, that's so funny because I'm also 2 years sober, 6 months, 5 days, 3 hours, 2 minutes.
Yeah, like to the deep,
You'd be like,
to the down.
oh, this person is addicted to sobriety now, so he's changed his. So I mean, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but pushing something away could be, in my mind, like dangerous, not necessarily the same as pulling it towards, but acknowledging that is a really good step, because what I would like to do with alcohol, and where I'm at, is like, if you were to pour a glass right now and say, oh, I'm gonna have this, you mind? There's no
Yeah.
no, this is not a sacred poison that I'm weak and powerless to overcome.
Yeah.
I look at it and go, no, thank you. That interest that I had at that time of my life has evolved into new interest.
Yeah.
I when I was 10 years old, I could tell you everything about Pokemon. The first 150 Pokemon, I could tell you everything about them. I was obsessed. I loved them at 10 years old. But if you ask me right now, I'm sorry, like, it's a wonderful aspect of my childhood with a very magical thing, but I just don't have the same interest.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel me. The opposite. I mean, the difference between Pokemon and alcohol is alcohol will kill you. It's
Yeah.
literal poison,
Poison,
and it's
yeah.
sedating us, and it's killing our body. So there's an awareness that you can start to develop, that as time goes on and you move away from it, yes, it's hard now. Yes, it seems to come in these cycles where I seem to be fine. Now this is a
gosh.
hard month. I'm
Yes.
fine for a couple of days. Now it's another hard couple of days, hard month. It keeps coming around. But over time, the further away you move from it, the gentler the waves are that you're riding
You're
the
right.
karma, and then soon you get to the point where it's so far away that you just kind of go, huh, yeah, I acknowledge it, I honor it, it was my past, I'm not denying it, I'm not beating myself up over it, I'm not filling myself with shame and guilt, because that's just another trip. It's just acknowledging it, honoring it, and then moving on to something that is actually aligned with where you want to be and where you want to go.
Makes sense. Yeah. And I definitely get that too. I think the mindfulness and the awareness also help create space for you start to realize that you aren't a slave and you do always have a choice. And I think that is one of the most important things when it came to like mindfulness and awareness. I definitely was in that place where I felt constantly pulled by urges, needs, substance use, reactions to people. And once the cultivation of that mindfulness and that awareness happened, there was an awareness that, oh, I'm triggered. Like you said, I'm pinched, I'm triggered. Or, oh, I need this. And you always have a choice. Even though we don't feel like we always have a choice, it feels like if you're pinched, you should punch back. It feels like if someone screams at you, you have to scream back. But when you do actually practice that mindfulness and take a second to realize what's happening in your body, you start to realize, oh, I don't have to react. I don't have to give into this. I always have a choice. And I think practicing the cultivating the awareness that there's always a choice, instead of thinking that you're just kind of, you have to do this or you're just going with it. I think that helps a lot too.
Yeah.
And the whole like sleeping or feeling like you're kind of just asleep in life, But once you actually start actively making choices, you realize how often you're asleep.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
oh wow, I didn't realize like that was a trigger for me, or I didn't even realize I did that because it was natural, versus like I chose to react this way or I chose to not do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think the power of choice is,
it's funny because the book by Gurdjieff right there, he that's one of his big things is what he calls the horror of the moment, which is the fact that we're all asleep. And that's the cause of all of our suffering in the world. The world is being destroyed and being ravaged, and people are being treated very poorly by those in power because so many people are asleep. And so what he says is essentially what you were just saying is begin the process of just observing yourself. And then notice throughout the day how much time you actually spent awake. It's like, well, I was awake in the morning and I did my meditation and my prayers, and then I was awake while I made my breakfast, and then I walked out the door and I was awake till I got to my car, and then I heard something on the radio. The next thing you know, I just got home from work. It's like, oh crap, I'm now back awake. And now it's 5 p.m. But noticing it throughout the day, and then the goal in some ways is just to get to the place where you've ironed out certain aspects of yourself, and this is where we can get into topics like aspects of your physical, etheric, astral bodies and all this stuff that you're ironing out. But we'll actually, before we get into that, we'll save it. Okay. Because there are ways to be aware of the aspects of yourself that need to be worked on. So.
And awareness is one of those.
So this actually leads to probably the next point we can make is after you get the mindfulness, okay, I still need to understand certain things.
Okay.
So where do I get my understanding from? And so this is the danger. This is where, on the other end, the danger of the internet, because okay, so now I'm having these very deeply personal experiences. I'm witnessing wild psychic phenomenon where people are saying things that I'm thinking in my head. I'm witnessing healing abilities. I'm witnessing very personal things that okay, now I need to understand this, because I'm not just going to sit here and go, oh well, like, and I'm not going to also ignore it. I was wrong in my worldview, thinking that the universe is just a bunch of smashing atoms and that there's nothing beyond what our sense perception is capable of. So where do I go from here? And if you go to the internet, again, kind of what we were saying at the beginning, there's a lot of surface level stuff, and there's a lot of intentional misrepresentation, and there's also a lot of non-intentional misrepresentation. So you might have some people on YouTube that, like us, are just like, hey, like, I heard this really crazy thing, and let me just regurgitate what I've heard. Like that is, we need to, I think in this current incarnation that we have, one of the things that we need to learn is how to develop discernment.
Current incarnation.
Our current, yeah, because we'll get into
reincarnation.
Okay. Yeah, good point. Yeah. See, yeah, you're okay. Yeah. So we'll get into that because I'll tell you how I came to ideas like reincarnation. So so I'm looking at the internet and I'm really confused now, as it is. It's a very confusing place because I'm hearing one thing and then I'm hearing an opposite thing over here.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so is there anybody out there that has tried to synthesize the world wisdom from the ancients and present it in a way that my Western logical, like thinking brain with my English language capacities is able to grasp?
I love the awareness.
Right? Because that's all I got in this incarnation. So I stumbled upon certain people's work that I found to be very intriguing.
So many people.
We'll get into so for example, I found the work of Edgar Cayce to be very intriguing. The fact that what he would do, he was born a very conservative Christian male, white male in America, and
do you really feel like that plays a part?
Oh, I mean, our incarnation in our race, gender, ethnicity, that does play a part in obviously, like, we all have different experiences. We're all treated differently. Yeah. And we'll get into this later, because on a higher plane you can also acknowledge the fact that yes, I am this in this lifetime, but I probably was a woman in my last lifetime. I'm probably be a woman in my next lifetime. I'm gonna be a different race in the next lifetime. I'll be whatever my soul needs to be to learn all the different aspects of humanity.
Would you want to be a different race in your next lifetime?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Because I have been in the past, and I have to acknowledge that I'm a human being first and foremost, and I'm on a journey through many lifetimes to experience and learn and discover everything. So I honor this incarnation. I don't disrespect it and deny it. I am here as in this incarnation. So but it's kind of like we've had this conversation before about. And I'll just do this little side bit, and then we'll go back to the thing. But one of my favorite English language authors is James Baldwin, and he has his ability to utilize the English language is, in my mind, magical. Yeah, truly profound. And what he says about his race, he was a gay African American man.
In the what,
60s, you'd say, around that time. Yeah,
I'm 2025, and it's still hard.
Right. But when asked about like his racial identity, he would say, I wear it like a loose garment. I honor it, I cherish it, I keep it clean, but at the same time I flow in it. Yes. If you wear it too tightly, then you can suffocate in it. Yeah. You can suffocate in your physical identity. And I am just this. Okay? Are you anything else? No, I have to just solely identify with this. That can, in the long run, limit your perspective of other things. Now, if maybe in this incarnation you just need that, okay, then that's what you just need in this lifetime. Maybe in the next lifetime you'll have another desire to experience something else. Like we're always wanting to discover something else once we've kind of like understood something. Anyway,
but I find that to be a trap too. When you lock yourself into like, I'm African. I just find that to be a trap of like, you disconnect from being able to take in other aspects of humanity from different parts of the world. Like if it's China, Japan, America, still human.
Mm-hmm.
And if these humans can, have these qualities or tap into this, which is why I love music, because music transcends all of it. If these humans can tap into these energies and these humans can have these concepts, I feel like you trap yourself when you hold on so tightly to it, because it's like you see this whole idea of other,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like
Mm-hmm.
human.
Yeah.
And I can learn from them, or I can tap into that aspect of my humanity too.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're so like, oh, this is my identity, it's almost like you close yourself off from experiencing anything else than that, I guess, idea.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. And we're living at a time when I think it is important that we grasp our identity. Like, because we've been told what to think and feel and believe for so
Yes,
long.
yes, yes.
So now we can stand in our own power and say what we think and feel and believe.
Mm-hmm.
And we can honor all the aspects that we choose to honor.
Mm-hmm.
I know that in my own personal journey, and everyone's journey is different. So I mean, like, it's like there's almost like a joke in Buddhism about, how many types of meditation there are?
How many?
There's 7 billion, because there's 7 billion different people. Everyone's different. So like everyone's got their own journey. My journey is I'm just beyond. I'm beyond.
Like your identity.
Yeah, like I you can say I'm
I feel that too. I'm the same
a
way.
Mediterranean Caucasian man, like heteronormative, like whatever you want to say.
No, you have all the
Like it's all that. Okay, got it. All right, and I'm curious about so much more. I love Japanese culture.
Mm-hmm.
I love like everything. I'm curious about so many different aspects of South America and Africa.
But that's what I'm saying. If you were just clinging on to, you couldn't learn from James Baldwin and like Japanese culture and Tibetan Buddhism if you were clinging so deeply to like this identity.
Yeah, I think the thing. So then, what is it, the thing that I so admire in somebody like James Baldwin, and it's oh man, this is the whole thesis we can go on, because it's I admire those that have gone through persecution, adversity, and have chosen love and have used their gifts to inspire others through their work. My greatest teachers are, and we'll get into them in a minute, are people like Garchen Rinpoche. We'll get into them. People that have dedicated their lives towards the compassionate benefit of others. Those are the people I admire, and that has nothing to do with any specific race, gender, ethnicity, or anything. That is, there are these few of them all over the earth, and seek them out because they are there. And even if you could just take 10% of their compassion and apply it to your daily life, you will make the world a better place. So we'll get into that, because let's go back to
the documentary.
Before we get to that, we're going to go back to the beginning of the journey, and we have a desire to understand spirituality, but we're looking at the internet and it's superficial, so we're looking at the original sources here. Okay. So who was the person, going all the way back, who was the person that tried to take all of the ancient wisdom and synthesize it in a way that we can all kind of like do a comparative study of it? Who did that hard work for me? Because I don't want to have to do that work, because I feel like I'm doing that work and I'm not good at it. And so okay, so we talked about Edgar Cayce a little bit, but then I find Manly P. Hall, and we can talk about him another time. But we're gonna talk about right now.
I love that you have names. Like,
you've
done your research.
Well,
like you've read the books.
If anything, though, if I say something, go ahead and do your own research into it. Don't take anything I say as like the word of law here. But it was, in my opinion, a woman named Helena Blavatsky that around the 1860s, 1870s, was a woman who was born with very powerful spiritual gifts.
Like what?
clairvoyant abilities.
What is it, like, what's clairvoyant?
The ability to perceive thought forms. By that I mean every single thought that you have in your head creates a specific shape, and it's this is where the challenge comes in, because I'm using the English language to describe something that's non-physical, and the English language is really good at describing the physical world we live in. If I spoke, if I can use like ancient Hindu Vedic terminology in Sanskrit, then maybe it would be easier, because that is a completely spiritual language.
It is. Yeah.
But I'm using terms like shapes. We're talking about shapes in space, but these are not inside time and space here. If I tell you to imagine a pink elephant, the pink elephant doesn't exist in time and space here. It exists where? It exists in the astral world, according to the way we would describe it in our Western traditions. But when you have specific thoughts and you have similar thoughts, they create certain forms called thought forms. And so there are certain people that develop abilities to be able to see the thought forms. So I can see your mental your afflictions. I can see thoughts of compassion and reverence, because they have a very different form than thoughts of selfish and anger. Auras of people. We can start to see these things. Yes. Now, again, I'm just going to tell you the history of it, and then you can make your own decisions on whether or not you want to believe any of this stuff. But regardless of Helena Blavatsky's abilities, if you don't want to believe it, that's fine. What she did do, though, is she left her place in Russia, and when she was a young lady, there was this old like war colonel or whatever that wanted to marry her. And so she was like, okay, fine, old creepy man. And she did it. But then it was like, oh, by the way, I'm just going to take a little vacation.
Oh, wow.
Can I just have a little bit of money for my vacation? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then she never came back. Because it was like, like, I'll take the money and I'm out the door. I'm out. Peace out. I'm leaving this place.
As she should.
And she did. And she did some amazing things for a woman at that time. Like, there's these funny stories about how she would sit in like the first class of these trains just by like it's like, sorry, only men are allowed up there, and she would just roll up her own cigarette and smoke in the guy's face and be like, it's like, don't tell me what to do. Like, there's a lot of these funny like anecdotes for the people that kind of were with her. But what she did was she brought to the West, in the biggest way possible, a lot of teachings from the East and from other cultures that were not really exposed in the West. So, for example, when she came to America finally, because she knew that America was a central hub for these new ideas back in the 1860s. She wanted to be at the center of this. At the time, if you were curious about like, what's this whole Hinduism thing? What is it? Really, the only books you'd have were written by white, like, British adventurers that had their seal of perspective on it. So it's not you're not getting the source information here. So at the time when she came here, if you wanted to read the Bhagavad Gita, which is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful, amazing, sacred texts in human history, there was 2 copies. There was one in the Library in New York, and there's like one in the Library of Congress. So you just were out of luck. If you wanted to know about it, you had no opportunity. So what did Helena Blavatsky do when she came? She incorporated so many of these old teachings, brought it, made sure that there were translations, made sure that these teachings from Tibet, made sure that there were very deep teachings in Kabbalistic circles that she was able to kind of bring in. And it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect at all. And in fact, she and her followers had flaws. But the point is, what she did was, again, we're going to use this theme throughout, planting seeds. She planted a seed, because what we were saying earlier, like, if you wanted to understand world religions and traditions 200 years ago, you're out of luck. You're just kind of constrained to where you are. And she was the first person to kind of create a society that all of these worldviews were discussed together in freedom. So she created the Theosophical Society. And it was a place where very interesting people came together and from all walks of life that would share ideas, and then they would synthesize it in a way, again, that maybe our more Western brains can grasp these concepts. So that's one of the first examples where you're going to see somebody start to publicly speak about reincarnation and karma and different sheaths of our body. But it's still.
Did you say she lived in?
Most of her work is around like the 1870s.
1870s.
Yeah. And so there's no, in my opinion, there's no coincidences to the universe. Like we had to have certain things unfold when they did. When she released the book called Isis Unveiled, she sent it create ripples throughout secret societies, and you can say in some ways, because she was presenting a lot of this ancient hidden wisdom that had been kept secret from the masses.
Isis, like the
Isis, the goddess, yes.
Oh, wow.
Isis Unveiled.
Wow.
So it's right over there. Isis Unveiled.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, is it easy to understand the book? Like, if you were like, oh, hey, Paul, I want to learn about brain surgery. It's like, oh, you can open up a book on brain surgery, but there's probably only a couple hundred people on the planet that could actually like tell you what all these like long words and diagrams mean, right? You know, so it's like, if it's not for the faint of heart, but you can read it. It really kind of solidified her as somebody who's saying to the world, hey, secret societies, secret orders, secret initiation rituals, we're going public. The world needs to know this stuff. And that caused a lot of backlash, because when she came to America, there were certain all-male groups, you know, Freemasons and stuff, and anywhere you have only like one gender dominant, you can create a bit of an imbalance in the world. So obviously, an all-male environment creates, as we've seen through history, yes, a lot of destruction there. So they didn't like this woman coming in and trying to take over their shtick here.
That's how they saw it.
Yeah. So and here's another one of the ideas here that you don't have to believe. Don't expect you to, but according to like people around her, she was put into a psychic imprisonment by certain secret societies in America.
A psychic imprisonment,
where she was not able to unfold her psychic abilities. There's clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience,
like
and all
place?
these things. No, it's all in the mind. It's not. It's not. We're not talking the physical. Yeah, they would perform these rituals that were dark magic. And again, don't believe if you don't want to. But the point is, what she did was she laid the foundation for the next step in our spiritual research of the world. And then again, it was not without its own flaws. But what that led to, and then a couple years later, we get into the next generation of theosophists. So what are the next generation? You have Annie Besant and C.W. Ledbetter that were pretty much the ones that kind of took over the society once she passed. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here to pass good or bad judgment on these people. They veered it in a direction that when I study it's a direction that I could not follow. And there were aspects of Helena Blavatsky's work that I could not quite. It was not nourishing my soul. So like The Secret Doctrine is probably, that's her most well-known book. If you were to read it, it's not meant to be read and interpreted with your logical intellect. Okay. It's a very deep thing that I'm not even going to pretend like I understand it. So how am I supposed to utilize that? Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good question. Fortunately, through my study of theosophy,
mm-hmm. Theosophy, which is
the society that was created by Helena Blavatsky.
Oh, okay.
There's a branch here in Los Angeles that I actually went to a meeting, and I didn't realize the history of this series. So because the Theosophical Society in America kind of did the split with Annie Besant and C.W. Ledbetter, and then there was a group of like purists, originalists that stayed with the original Helena Blavatsky teachings. And I didn't realize I went into a meeting with the purists, the originalists, which was interesting. No, it was actually cool.
I was like, how
because this group actually they took on the and this is again, here we are in the year in the 2000s, so we are a long many decades away from that. So it's interesting how spiritual movements unfold. But what I met when I met these people is it's taken on a Tibetan Buddhist characteristic. It's dived deeper into the Tibetan Buddhist aspects. And so one of the most popular theosophical books back in the day was a book called Esoteric Buddhism. And it got a lot of flack from theosophists because many of the theosophists were Hindu. And they were like, why are you calling it Buddhism? It's like, well, like it's all connected here. Like, let's not like get caught up on namings here. Like Buddha, he was technically Hindu, and then he developed Buddhahood. He became a Buddha. A Buddha is a stage of our humanity. So anyway, going back, so at these meetings I started going, and I'm eternally grateful for these people I met because they introduced me to Buddhism in many ways, and not just Buddhism, like Tibetan Buddhism, which is like that's like the heavy duty of the Buddhism. That's, and I found it to be absolutely fascinating. And so talk about like replacing one habit with another habit, like being depressed and craving alcohol. Well, I found something that was so much more fascinating than like drinking and partying for me personally. And it was like, I'm like looking at these texts and I'm like, I want to understand this, and I have no idea what this means.
I like that. So it's about finding something that was more fascinating for your brain and also impactful.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
of course,
that's great. So you doing that work, because I've been trying to articulate that. Whereas like since I've been staying with you, and you've been showing me and teaching me, and also like showing me these documentaries. Obviously, I have my own battles and struggles. I've been in this like better place, you know what I mean? And I love that we're having this conversation and doing these projects. I've been in such a better place, and I couldn't really articulate the lack of desire to like drink or party or smoke weed. And it's like my mind has been so stimulated and fascinated by these teachings and kind of like working on this new version of myself, that it's almost like, oh, in order to do this and sustain this, I can't do that. And I prefer to be here right now. And I think this is the physical manifestation of that. So it's definitely created a new me. But yeah, you're right. Just like finding something else that is more fascinating, more beneficial to you, and focusing on that and understanding that like this is way better than like being high. Yeah. Like this is way better than being high. Like creating and having this conversation to me. Yeah. And just the conversations we have on a daily basis. Yeah. Is so much better than just like being slugged out and high and depressed and sad. Yeah. So yeah, this has brought me. Thank you for articulating it like cool. That. That's great.
Yeah, it reminds me of a saying from one of the theosophical books called "Light on the Path" by Mabel Collins. It's like these little meditation aphorisms, and one of them basically says, I'm going to butcher it, but essentially it says like, if you find yourself in evil, struggling with evil, turn yourself towards the eternal. Evil has no dwelling there. Like evil is a temporary aspect of our evolution. It's not the eternal aspect of our evolution. It's a temporary. And by evil I mean just anything that's causing us pain, suffering, misery, distraction, just toil and sadness. Like like all the whatever it is. Just put your focus, the seat of your eye, capital I, into the eternal. The ego, your I, okay. Your capital letter I. Focus into the eternal, and we'll get into the ego and I in a minute, because we're about to get into anthroposophy, which is where I found my home. Okay. But before we get into anthroposophy, you want to finish up the thing on Tibetan Buddhism. Yes. Fortunately, through the society, through this group, here we'll get into Garchen Rinpoche.
Garchen Rinpoche, yes, that amazing documentary that you showed me.
I'm so glad you watched it with me, because
it made me cry.
Because and I would recommend it to anybody, because it does better than a book can, and it does better than I can articulate it. There's a documentary, and it's free online. You can go to the
YouTube.
website or you. Yeah, it's on
Yeah, it's
YouTube.
on YouTube.
When I say YouTube though, I mean if you're gonna watch a documentary, watch it on a TV. Give it justice. Don't
Yeah,
watch it on
yeah.
your phone.
Fair.
I mean, watch it on your phone if you want to, but watch it on TV. It's a good documentary. But what the documentary does is
It's called
for the benefit of all beings.
For the Benefit of All Beings.
It's about a man named Garchen Rinpoche, and what I learned through my time with the Theosophical Society, I learned about the concept of a bodhisattva.
And what is that?
A bodhisattva, I mean, in the West, you can call him saint. They're a human being that have obtained a level of enlightenment where they dedicate every single second of their existence towards the compassionate benefit of other beings, all sentient beings, not just even humans. Now, easier said than done,
Of course.
right?
In today's world.
And it's almost it's hard to believe in the West that people like that exist. Unfortunately,
That's why I cried when I saw it.
yeah,
I was
because
like, this is real.
because I think we're so conditioned with cynicism and
Yes,
through all
yes.
of the criticisms and
Yes.
and our desire to just cancel and be angry at people on the internet.
Or exposed.
That we realize that so many of our heroes are humans who are flawed,
Yes.
and they make big mistakes, and when they're in positions of power, that power corrupts a lot of people. And so in the West, we're used to, oh, look at that guy, he's so nice, and then you find out, oh my God, well, Jesus, wow, here's another one, and it's like it's a trend in the West. We hear that. So when you see someone who actually is at that level, there's a dissonance in the brain. Like, I can't comprehend that this is real. He must have a skeleton in the closet somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think what at least the documentary shows is that this man is like this in front of people and without people. He is like this. And when you see his journey and his struggle that he went through as a young monk, and I'll give you the brief summary of it so that the audience can have a little context here.
Yeah.
Garchen Rinpoche, he's old now. He must be almost in his 90s.
Oh, wow.
Because he was a young monk in Tibet in the 1950s. He was in probably his 20s, so we do the math here. In the 1950s, the Communist Party of China invaded Tibet. When they invaded Tibet, the Communist Party is an atheist regime, so they would like to do away with all religions and spirits. In fact, Mao even says religion is poison.
Religion, yeah.
So I think there's always an exoteric and an esoteric component to all things, and it includes history. So the exoteric, the public version, and then there's the esoteric, the private, the secret teachings. The exoteric is they wanted the land, they wanted the resources, they wanted the power over those people, they wanted to control a larger swath so that they can take their resources and farmland and everything else. The esoteric would be they wanted to prove that Buddhism is false, that you can break the spirit of these monks, that it's all an illusion, and what we say goes, not what they're saying goes. So they genocided. It's still going on today. They went in and they destroyed a bunch of monasteries. They burnt a bunch of holy texts, and then they took monks and they would just systematically kill them. But some of them, like Garchen Rinpoche, they herded up and they brought to these torture camps. And the whole goal of the camp was just to torture them, and just to prove that they can break these monk spirits, and it did break many of their spirits. Many of them committed suicide.
He said he was fighting. I thought that.
Yes,
was
yes, absolutely.
Because people think Buddhism and think like it's so peace and love, or like when you think of spirituality, it's like, we'll let them come in, let them kill you. You can't commit any acts of violence, and he covered that.
Yes,
and I thought that was so interesting.
Yes, there was a rebellion army against the Chinese
that he was a part of.
Yes, and I can't remember the name of the army, but it basically stands for the army of the people of Tibet to protect the Dharma. And you have the Dharma essentially is the, I mean, you could look at it in a Western term and say like it's the Holy Spirit. It's the life force of the universe that allows it to to heal and understand itself. And when you don't have respect for the Dharma of the universe and you go out of your way to try to destroy it, you're creating immense suffering for yourself and others. And so I think what these monks were able to do in their rebellion against the Chinese occupation,
because
they did kill, yes, from their mindset. And this is something that, like, this, they did not take this statement lightly, that they would kill, because they did not kill out of the joy of the vengeance. What they would say is these monks were willing to take upon themselves the karma of killing these Chinese soldiers in order for the Chinese soldiers to stop causing negative karma for themselves and others. So once the monk kills someone, he then takes on the responsibility that in the next life I will be with this person that I've harmed, and I will help them heal the damage that they've caused, and I will heal the damage I've caused to this person. But if I did not kill this person, he would have caused untold suffering to others. And in that process, also doing untold suffering to himself. Now that's a very...
Like, I'm saving you here.
Yes, that is a very mature way to do it, because if I did not have the maturity about it, and I could just justify myself in any way for that, oh, I'm smacking you to prevent you from causing harm. Like, that's a... That is something that happens at a very high level, to be able to have that worldview and and to have it in a healthy way, because
it was also about
preservation of their culture,
of the
practice, because the world needs it. The world needs these teachings to have continued on, so that we can be exposed to it and aware of it. Even as a Christian, you don't have to surrender yourself to this, but it is important to understand that Christ and this loving energy that is humanity has created this too. It created this, but it also created those people over there and these people over there. And it's important, regardless of your faith background, to develop an appreciation for look at that. Look what they created. Oh my God, that's fascinating. Look what the Spirit worked through them. It's amazing. Rather than saying, oh no, that's clearly that's devilish stuff over there.
Which I think is the common when it comes to religion.
We're gonna get into that in a second, because we'll get into the concept of that polarity, because that's probably one of the most important concepts I want to discuss before we end today.
Okay, because Rinpoche, I think one thing I did want to... He had this one line where he said, I am willing to go to hell. I found that line very, very interesting. It's like he said, I knew what I was doing, but in order to protect and preserve this, I'm willing to go to hell. And I just thought, wow, that's like the ultimate sacrifice. But just the polarity of that statement.
You see in him someone who's going through, he's bearing his cross. If you look at this from a Christian standpoint, the people of Tibet, those monks in Tibet, they were at the stage of their evolution where they had obtained very high level of enlightenment. Now, when you're a bodhisattva, essentially you're at the stage of pure compassion, where at this stage, when you die, you could just ascend to Buddhahood. You could just be Buddha. And when you are a Buddha, you no longer physically incarnate. You're off in the next realms. You don't go to a physical planet anymore. You're not physical. You're all spiritual, and you go off for the infinite journey into the spiritual worlds.
I don't need to come back.
Right? Right. But a bodhisattva says, I choose out of my own free will to go back. I don't have to, but I'm going to go back, and I'm going to suffer. I'm going to bear a cross, and I'm going to suffer the sins of people, and I'm going to take it out of my own free will. This goes into a deep, profound concept of my personal belief that there is that Christ, who is the highest manifestation of love and compassion in the entire universe, manifests not just through Christians. He manifests through people, through their acts and deeds and words and thoughts. And so people like Arjun Rinpoche, had he had no hardship, had the invasion never happened,
Mm-hmm.
he would have attained, like a level of peace. He would have been doing his prayers in the monastery and everything would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But he spent 25 years or 20 years being tortured and beaten
Yes.
and spit on and told that he is subhuman and that his beliefs are a lie. And that normally breaks a human being. Look at the damage caused by anyone in a prisoner situation like that. It's destructive to the soul. But he developed his bodhisattvahood and enlightenment and unconditional love for his captors and infinite
Wow.
paradise in his mind. And now he dedicates his life towards helping others in spite of the fact that his physical body has not recovered. So you see, like, his physical body is still broken. If this was a normal person like me and you, we would be paralyzed. I can't move my arm. Yet he spends his entire day spinning a prayer world. And you can see that he is genuinely happy.
He is.
He's genuinely happy, and he bestows blessings on everyone.
On everyone.
No
And they're
matter
so
who they
excited
are.
to see him.
Mhm.
You know.
Because it dissolves an aspect of you. You see inside him the most wonderful components of yourself.
Yeah.
Which
no, literally.
there's an old Hindu saying that's when a pickpocket sees a saint, all he sees is his pockets.
Yeah.
So if you're a thief and all I see in you is just my thievy traits, but if you see someone who exemplifies a saintly quality, what is it that's seeing it? It's that aspect of you that can even recognize what a saint is, what a loving being is. And it inspires us. So in a moment when you meet somebody like that, and for us in the West, I would make the argument that somebody like Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, was a Western bodhisattva who dedicated his life towards making sure that everyone felt valued, loved, safe, and respected. And you see people, when they come up to somebody like that, I have so many questions. But then as soon as you're face to face with somebody like that, it's like, it all dissolves away.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask the question because it's like I already kind of deep down know the answer because I'm here with the face of compassion in front of me.
I love that, and I think why that touched me so much was because obviously, again, we came to LA to pursue these artistic careers, to make it, whether it be acting, singing. It's like I'm 27 and I've been here since I was 18. And there was always this, like, I'm running out of time, I need to make it. And even during my musical journey, there's still this aspect of, like, I'm running out of time, I need to do it before this. And so seeing that documentary opened up my mind to a possibility of impact that I had never conceived of. In my mind, impact this whole time has always been Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish, musicians and artists and my favorite actors. Doing a project, and to see that this person embodying this amount of unimaginable love at that age, 90s, still truly impacting the world, was like a whole lane that my brain didn't register of, like, you don't have to stop at music, you don't have to stop at acting. You embodying at the core of what you're doing, you want to positively impact people like the way that those people positively impacted you, and there truly is no age to that. This is a lifelong journey. And so I think it was great to see something like that because it shows, like, we can kind of veer off of our quote-unquote path and kind of embody something much bigger and less I don't want to say vain. We obviously we do this from the heart, but, like, it can be so much bigger than this, And I think that's why I love what we're doing now, because it's not what we moved here for, but it's still the impact that we would like to have, and we're embodying. And I think it's great that we're practicing this. But you having studied all of this and implementing it has helped me so much more than I think a scene could. I feel like the time I've spent with you, you've given me something more than the scene you did at our acting school could, and that's awareness, teachings, practice, discipline. So it's crazy because I think we think, like, oh, because it didn't go this way or we didn't book that dream Netflix role. It's like we could have both. I could have booked the Disney role. You could have booked the Netflix A24 role.
And then I wouldn't have had my kids.
You wouldn't have had your kids,
right? Which is like, God, the amount of failures I had that made me feel horrible that, well, I wouldn't have had my kids if things didn't happen, like, or they did happen in another way. And there's nothing in the world I want more than my kids. Like,
Yes.
so I am so thankful to to this whole plan, because, like, gosh, they gave me the exact thing that I didn't even know that it was always in my wildest dreams, which is Nixie and Neo are my everything.
I know.
And
It's
that
beautiful.
wasn't my plan back in the 20s.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it
yeah.
told me back then, money, like power and roles, fame.
Yes.
Like, yeah, give me movies. I want to be in movies.
And now look, I feel like
You know?
your impact has expanded,
Mm.
certainly, and it's beyond a role.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this impact and what you're taking into your everyday life is something that's going to impact people far more deeply. Like, it's impacted me. Obviously, I wouldn't have wanted to talk to you about this if I wasn't truly impacted by it. It's gonna impact me, Nixie, Neo, and so many people. Just having and doing this research and having this knowledge and continuing to kind of carry that torch that these great people carried.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more important than a role.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is more important than a role.
Yeah.
So I thank you for that.
Thanks, Simon.
Yes.
Shall we continue
Yes.
on our
Let's
journey?
continue. Let's continue.
So we did the oh yeah,
The sounds.
we did the study of Tibetan Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was an absolutely necessary component to my life, and I'm so grateful for it.
Mm-hmm.
But there was more I needed, and going back to the theosophy, after Helena Blavatsky, Annie Besant, and C.W. Ledbetter took the Theosophical Society in a much more like Eastern direction. By that I mean, like, they went to India. They wanted to create schools in the Indian tradition, and they wanted to have it in the West. They found a child that they believed had a pure aura. His name, you might know him, is Krishnamurti. They wanted him to be the great world teacher, which is just that's a heavy burden to put on a child, but it's also just not right for the times, And so there was the German sect of theosophy around this time that was led by a man named Rudolf Steiner, who is my spiritual teacher.
The amazing.
So he originally was in the Theosophical Society back in like the early 1900s, so like 1900, 1905. So he tried to kind of adhere to these principles a bit, but there's a recognition that there's a different element that needs to be introduced that wasn't introduced before. And there is a shying away in theosophy from Western wisdom. Because, if I say Western wisdom, what is it? I mean, it seems like the Catholic Church seemed to have a pretty strong say of the doctrine for the past 2,000 years in the West. And if you wanted to teach something else, sorry, he'll cut your head off, torture and kill you and take all your money. That's what they did for centuries. For centuries. And
Just expose the
right. And so, but the thing is, according to Steiner, there has always been a thread of ancient wisdom that has passed word of mouth, teacher to pupil, generation to generation, for as long as you can imagine. And this is where we can go for how long? We can go back to Atlantis. We can go back to Lemuria.
Are we gonna touch
We don't have time today.
Okay, we're not
because I could, and I think maybe the next thing we do is eventually we could talk about, because this is a fun topic for a lot of people. Atlantis. Get into like the ancient technology and all that stuff. But we'll try to keep it focused on what's practical right now today, because I don't want to take like 3 hours today. Because we could, but I don't want to the audience has other things to do.
Sure.
Right. So we can do this another time. But
Okay.
but I do want to say let's see. So Rudolf Steiner started to break away from the Theosophical Society because of certain fundamental differences he was having with the direction that Theosophy was going. Maybe a more Eastern approach would be: you are a student, you go to a monastery, you have a guru, and you surrender to the guru, and the guru provides you spiritual guidance, and then you are able to perceive higher worlds based off of submission to a guru.
Mm-hmm.
That worked at a point in time.
Mm-hmm.
That was suitable for a point in time in human evolution. We go through stages of evolution that unfold certain abilities and kind of almost like shut off certain powers and open up certain powers so that we can evolve.
Mm.
So something that might be right thousands of years ago
Mm-hmm.
is not appropriate for the time right now.
Okay.
So this will go into where Rudolf Steiner started anthroposophy using essentially Rosicrucian teachings.
Rosicrucian teachings.
Now we can get into the Rosicrucians.
All right. Hold that thought. Gotta double check everything is working properly. It's on. Oh, that never recorded. That's not recording.
Nothing's recorded?
Nope.
Nothing's recorded?
Nope.
How did that
I
happen?
don't.
Where's the videos?
There's no videos.
2 minutes.
That's.
Diamond? Hey. We'll do it again in a couple days. Oh, man.
Let's finish it out. We still have audio.
Oh. Okay. All right. All right. So where were we?
The Rosicrucian.
Yes. So this leads into. Just give me a second. I'm gonna need a minute. Woo. Oh. All right. Check the time. So how much time have we done so far?
I feel like we've done an hour.
I think this might actually end up going 2 hours if I keep going in this direction. So
Do you want
maybe we should have a part 2.
Okay.
Because like we're at the fun. We're at like the fun. Now we're at the stage where
It's recording now.
what's that?
It's recording now.
Okay.
Hey, so we just realized that the last hour and a half that we did wasn't recorded.
Mm-hmm.
It was audio recorded, but the iPad just.
Yeah, that's okay.
And that's okay.
We can hear it.
We can hear it. I'm not mad. I'm not upset.
I think what we're gonna do is we'll have this as a part 1, and then we're gonna continue because we're about to get into something that's very exciting for me with a part 2, and we'll do part 2 on the video form. So we have the audio for the first part of this podcast, and then we'll do a part 2, which will be
great. Which will be so amazing. Hi, my name is Diamond Tucker, and I didn't record anything today, actually. Welcome again to the House of Gems. I have been blessed to talk with Paul Ferro about everything that you guys won't see, but you can hear.
You can hear it.
Thank you. And be blessed as I...
It's all right.
It is.
See? Look at that little test we have.
Little test?
It's a little test.
You're
to
right.
see how we're gonna respond to
You're
it.
right. You're
Yeah.
right. This is the whole.
Yeah, to see how we're
awareness.
gonna respond to
Mhm.
this situation.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah,
Cause I definitely you saw me hit. I went over there.
yeah.
Is this the Mandela effect?
Mm.
Are we in a reality where I did not go over there and hit record?
Whatever.
All right. So with that, that's gonna be the end of our show today.
We're gonna leave you with a little cliffhanger.
Little cliffhanger.
Yes, I am really excited about the next thing we're going to talk about when we get into the Rosicrucians and anthroposophy, because it is such an important part of my life right now and my journey, and I can't wait to share some ideas with you all.
I'm so excited. I cannot wait to. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Paul. This is amazing, and yeah, this made my day. I'm glad we got to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that concludes today's episode of Diamond's House of Gems. Be well. Be blessed. Be aware of every test. Ooh. A with that one. Okay, thank you. Have a great day, you guys, and we'll see you guys soon.